Okay, folks, hi. I welcome you all. And I'm here today on a Sunday afternoon. We're having an unusually mild winter. It's almost spring-like here, even though it's still February. And I'm here because our institute, the Theosis Healing Institute, as some of you may know, is built on my years with Dasgalos, the great teacher and mystic. Right now, I'm writing a book about him, and about my time with him. And it's almost like he's taking my hand and telling me what to write. It's a rather extraordinary process for me because even though I spent 6 years with the great teacher, it's almost like I can see him better now than I could back then, and that's over 27 years ago. And that fits to the presentation I'm about to give because one of the trips has me returning to the island of Cyprus for the first time in 27 years. But I want to explain the trips in order in which they happen. And the first trip that I offer will be now over the Easter holidays. That'll be the end of March going into April. And it's a trip that I've been offering now for the last 4 or 5 years, sometimes uh, in conjunction with a longer trip through Anatolia, and sometimes just to this area. What is this area? This area is called in the Turkish media now Taz Tepe, and that means stone hills. They gave it that name just to have a name for it because at first they had one temple complex which they discovered actually in 1960, but they ignored it. And then again in 1995, Klaus Schmidt, the German man, started to do a dig there, and the dig's been going on now for about 26 years, and it's proven to unveil or unearth probably the largest temple complex in the world. It spans over 10 hectares, and also definitely one of the oldest. They date it over 12,000 years. And Göbekli Tepe is one of 12 temple complexes which they know exist there. They've been trying to keep the other ones quiet, that there'd be no vandalism or illegal digs. But now they've exposed them all, not exposed them all. They're working on that now. Uh, and they're working simultaneously on excavations on a number of them, including one which is extraordinary, which is called Karan Han Tepe. Karan Han Tepe, here's a picture because I've developed a travel agency for this is Karan Han Tepe from above. Uh, Göbekli Tepe looks like that as well. That means it's formed out of circles, and the circles within the circles there are two larger columns erected. And Karan Tepe is also over 12,000 years old, and it's about 60 kilometers away from Göbekli Tepe, but it has its own unique style and unique presentation. I've been to Karan Tepe a number of times. I've been to Göbekli Tepe more. Uh, and what I offer now is I offer 8-day trips, 9-day trips there, where we go there and we stay in a town called Şanlıurfa. Şanlıurfa is an ancient city known as the city of the prophets because some people consider it the birthplace of Papa Abraham, the father of the Judaic-Christian tradition. And also the long-suffering prophet Job is buried there. Uh, and that takes us back, of course, 3,000 years or 4,000 years, 3,000 years actually, or shorter, at Abraham. And that by itself makes Şanlıurfa a place worth visiting if you're interested in spirituality or religion. Um, but what's really fascinating is that around Şanlıurfa are these 12 sites and more, many other things to see there. And it's a passion of mine to follow this development, and I've built a web page up for it actually to list all the material written on the different tepes and also videos. You can find that under my name and Tastepli Travels or Tastepli Reisen in German, and read about what's going on there and what they determined it is. Auf jeden Fall, the discovery of Göbekli Tepe and the other Tepes has turned the world on top of its head because it's changed the whole archaeological timeline and all the notions we had about human development and the unfoldment of culture has been thrown out the window because of Göbekli Tepe. Okay, and this is one thing. The other thing is what I think makes Göbekli Tepe very important for where we're standing now, because as many of you know, we are in the midst of a major paradigm shift. And this paradigm shift is happening all over the world. And when you're in a paradigm shift, and we're in a massive paradigm shift right now, often it bodes us well to consult ancient teachings, because we can see that our modern way of living is no longer in balance with the natural world, with the animal kingdom, and so forth. And we can see that a lot of our institutions around us are really become unstable or even collapsing. And we can expect that to continue. And the advantage of making a tour to Göbekli Tepe, and you can do this without me, of course, is that you're going back to a folk and a time which celebrated some gods or goddesses, which we can't even determine that, and built temple complexes which are almost inconceivable for the time. Okay, because these columns, like take Göbekli Tepe enclosure D, for example, the columns that's encircled the two major columns in the middle are over 4 meters high. The two in the middle are nearly 6 meters high and carved out of a single piece of stone, finely carved, chiseled with animal figures, some of them mythological, some of them actually still exist, like foxes and so forth. And I remember my first visit to Göbekli Tepe about 5 years ago. And when we walked up the ramp to go and to look down at Göbekli Tepe, you suddenly realize that you're in the presence of something which you can't define, you know. Myself, I've been all over the world. I lived 2 years in Kathmandu. I've been to Tibet. I'm not trying to brag. I've been, like a lot of you, through Egypt. I've been to all the temple complexes in the Holy Land and on the Greek islands, and nothing compares to this. Nothing compares to this in its importance and also in its age and in its magnificence. Okay, and I will just tell you my personal theory about Göbekli Tepe and the other 11 tepes is that I think that they came at a time when we really need them. What do I mean by that? Well, take the Second World War, which is one of the darkest chapters in humanity. And towards the end of the Second World War, in Egypt, in a town called Nag Hammadi, a shepherd was going around, and they take a stick and they stamp the ground to chase away the snakes. And he hit a hollow. He heard a hollow sound, and he dug up this clay pot, and inside of it he found a Nag Hammadi lost gospels, 111 of them altogether. And the Nag Hammadi Lost Gospels offers us to adopt an original form of Christianity, not built upon the four Gospels or the 27 books of the New Testament, but actually to explore some of the more hidden teachings of Christ and some of the more prevalent teachings of Christ at the time of Christ. It's a radical departure away from organized Christianity, and it offers a renewal to Christianity. And that's limited Christianity. But if you take Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe and these other tepes, they don't belong to a religion or to a country or to a folk. They belong to all of us. And I think that's what we're experiencing now. We're going through a very dark period right now, full of conflict and full of disorientation. And I'm not talking about COVID only, or the banking crisis, or extreme politics. I'm talking in general that we're seeing that our institutions are breaking down because they're no longer supported by uh, the reality, okay? The forces of nature. We can see Mother Nature is telling us that practically every day. And that's why Göbekli Tepe might be so important to our future. Uh, Even if we can't understand who built it, how they built it, and why they built it, still it speaks to us in ways that we can that speaks to us on a soul level. Okay. And that trip, like I said, is going to take place over Easter because Easter is a time of crucifixion, which we're going through. And don't get me wrong. And then it's a time of resurrection, of rebirth, which comes after the crucifixion. So something has to pass away that something can be reborn, you know. That's just a law. Something has to die that something can be born. And what we're seeing now, because of the paradigm shift that we're going through, is something is dying, and we're getting ready for a rebirth. And I personally think that these temple complexes in Southeast Anatolia have a lot to do with that. And the more that they continue with the excavations, uh, the more this energy is going to be released. And what's extraordinary about Göbekli Tepe, let me just say this, is it's in the middle of it's the mother of the tepes as far as we can tell, because on all sides there are other complexes scattered around in a circle in a 100 kilometer circle, almost perfectly laid out. Yeah. Which you say, how could they do that 12,000 years ago? Plan an individual temple complex, but they're all connected with temple complexes, which are 20, 30, 40, 50, even 80, 90 kilometers away. And they did it. Okay. And so the trip we offer is totally comfortable. We stay in a 400-year-old, one time it was an Armenian monastery, but it's been converted, tastefully converted into a middle class, even a boutique class hotel. The owner of it is very proud of it. He's a friend of mine, and he's gonna. The rooms are fantastic. I mean, it suits the trip perfectly because it's beautiful arches that are 400 years old in every bedroom, and a beautiful courtyard where we can take dinner or have a glass of wine or coffee. And from there, we can go and visit the extraordinary archaeological museum there, and also visit Papa Abraham and the souk, the spice market, and everything. And the advantage of doing this trip with us is that normally our groups are quite small and quite exclusive and quite intimate. And if a certain temple complex means a lot to us uh, collectively, then we can say, okay, the time will allow that we can make a second visit there. Because often you're just overwhelmed by the first visit there, especially if you haven't been there. And I understand that fully. I was. And you say, wait a minute, I was at Göbekli Tepe for 4 hours the other day, but I need to get back there. And we can build that into the 9-day trip that we have, okay? We can do that. We're flexible enough that we can say, okay, I need to go back to Karahan Tepe, okay? It might mean that we have to leave something out, but if it means that, it means that, and we can accommodate that. So that this travel takes place, I have to find my papers, I think on that from the 27th of March through the 7th of April. And you fly to Ufra, which is the Urfa, which is the airport for Göbekli Tepe. And you normally have to fly over Istanbul, one of the two airports in Istanbul. And by itself, that's extraordinary because you fly out of an airport or a city like Copenhagen or Munich or Frankfurt, a very modern city, and about 8 hours later, you're standing in front of a temple complex which is 12,000 years old. Where can you do that? You can't do that anywhere in the world except Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe and so forth. So there's places remaining for that, and if you want to take part, I would be your honored guide along with my friend Yelchel, to show you these complexes. And privately, I can tell you what I feel about them as a healer and as a teacher of spirituality. but I do not want to influence your understanding or experience of Göbekli Tepe and Karangan Tepe. Okay. So that's the first trip. The next trip is going to take me back to Cyprus, and that's filling up. There's very few places left. And what's this trip about? If you're familiar with Daskalos's teachings, then you probably know that he wrote a book, and this is the book. I wrote it with him way back when, on the symbol of life. It's a thick book. Uh, it's in German, as you see, and in English. And as he wrote this, he instructed me privately a lot about this, a lot about it. And he said that his spirit guide, John Johannan, only allowed him to write so much. And he said that a time will come, and he said it's not long, where a lot more will be revealed about the symbol of life. And I'm experiencing that now in my teachings. He even actually said that the symbol of life will create a revolution in spirituality, which a lot of people have been waiting for. But here's a cloth imprint of the symbol of life. You'll get a copy of this if you take part in the course, to take with you to work with it. And basically, it's a description of the creation. Not only a description of creation, but it's a description of the human path through creation, of incarnating, and then the path back to the source. Okay. And up until now, I'm going to be teaching this in German, but if a number of people want to take part who don't speak German, then I'm used to teaching this in two languages. I can do it in both languages, and I'd be honored to teach it in both languages. The hotel where we're staying is called Aphrodite Beach Hotel. It's in Polis, which is one of the nicest areas on the island. I used to love going there for weekends because it was really relatively not built up. And the woman who owns this hotel, her name is Yogia. She said to me, you know, Paul, I have two spirit guides who take care of my hotel. One of them is the Virgin Mary, and the other one is Daskalos. So it's almost like Daskalos is calling us home to the island where he taught this in his life. And it's my homecoming to Cyprus after this 27 year 27 years that I haven't been back on the island, and it's appropriate that we'll be spending 8 days going deeply into the symbol of life. And on Wednesday, we'll board a bus and make the trip to Strovolos, and where I used to live and where Daskalos lived, and we'll take a look at Daskalos's house from outside. We'll visit his grave, and I can also show you as much as possible the stoa where he taught. In the price, you can check it out on the website. It's half board. That means we'll take our evening meals at the hotel, and it's directly on the beach or very, very close to the beach. So that means in the breaks we can take a dip. And really, the beginning of May is one of the perfect times to visit Cyprus because it's not too hot. And it's still warm enough, like that you can really enjoy a dip in the Mediterranean. And actually, where the hotel is, about a kilometer away, are the famous bath where Aphrodite, the great Greek goddess, the beautiful goddess, used to take her baths. Yeah, she used to go there to bathe. And we can go there together, and you can go there alone. So, as I said, right now I have 10 people taking part in that. I have 14 rooms reserved. I can reserve more rooms, and if there's enough English speaking people interested, then I can do it. And either I will bring a translator with me from Germany, or I'm fluent enough in German that and I'm still fluent in English, that I can teach it in both languages. Okay. So just write me if you're interested in taking part. Are there any questions about that? We have a very small audience today. Any questions about that? Okay, then I'll move on to the last trip, which is going to take place a week after my return. I will fly back from Cyprus to Germany, and then a couple of days later, I fly to either Kos or Samos. Why? Because there's an island in the Mediterranean, which most Greek Orthodox know, which is for them the holiest island in their belief system, and that's the island of Patmos. Patmos is fairly well known because we know that the book of Revelation, the Apocalypse, was received there by John. Okay. Uh, the story is that John, the apostle, was living in Ephesus, just about 100 kilometers, 80 kilometers away from Patmos. And the church dogmatism says that he was trying to convert people into Christianity. And as a punishment, he was sent to Patmos to suffer there. Uh, and also, you see these pictures of Patmos being empty at that time, with John sitting on an empty island. However, the fact is that Patmos was a thriving Roman colony with maybe 34,000 people, including an Artemis temple, an Apollo temple, an Aphrodite temple, an Helios temple. That's not important. There's also a monastery built in the name of John, directly on an Artemis temple, and there's also the cave where John theoretically or famously received these amazing images of the Book of Revelations. What's remarkable about the Book of Revelations is that uh, it is a sacred text composed of a series of 7 times 7. So there's 7 letters written on the 7 communities, all of them in Turkey, the Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamon, and these 7 letters start with praise on the community, and then it goes into a heavy critique of them. And then the next day, there's 7 seals which are opened by the Christ energy, and these seals were sealed from the beginning of time. And the way we experience the Book of Revelations is really as a healing method, because first of all, the fact that there's 49 episodes in the Book of Revelations only confirms something Dascalis said to me. One day I went to Dascalis' house very early in the morning. He said, "Paul, I just learned something." He was 81 years old. He said, "Paul, I just learned something. It's not that a human being is composed out of 7 energy centers, chakras, but each one of these chakras is divided between 7 planes." And I said, "Wow, that's interesting, you know?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, as a matter of fact, we can partake as human beings in as many as 49 planes and planes, subplanes, 7 primary planes, and then 7 subplanes, 49. And when I bring that together with the Book of Revelations, and that the Book of Revelations is built up also out of the number 49, then it is no wonder that it is a book that needs to be read on the inner levels. In other words, it is a book that has to be read as basically a technique to clean yourself from karma. And I've been taking groups there for 8 years to the island. I love the island. There's no other island in the Mediterranean which is so beautiful and as powerful as Patmos, that I can say. Patmos is filled up with so many power places. It is unbelievable, and still it is mind-blowingly beautiful. When you walk over the island, you turn your head to the left or the right, and you just cannot believe how beautiful it is. And then when you go back, which I do every year, you say, maybe I exaggerated how beautiful it was, and it's even more beautiful as you remembered it. So that's the nice thing about Patmos, is that you go through a deep, deep cleaning, and at the same time, the island supports this cleaning with her beauty, with her beautiful beaches, with her nice food, with her nice people, and a nice glass of red wine or white wine in the evening. And it's an amazing, amazing week. And I can't wait to go back. And it looks like that's going to take place too. And normally, what we do, let me just explain that you're not surprised if you take part, is we get together every day, and I describe the 7 series that fits to that day, uh, but not in great detail. And then I lead a meditation where I read actually that part of that book of Revelations as a meditation, and I become a riverbed then for the Christ. And as a healer, I've been a riverbed now, a passive riverbed like Daskalus was passive for the last 27 years, and it flows through me and then into the participants. And then the participants come back to the hotel later in the day and they actually give each other a treatment, which I have on paper. Don't worry about it; it's not complicated. And then they read in the sentences or the mantras actually into the chakras of their friend or their client. And last September, it was extraordinary because we had an uneven number of people. So I said, some of you are insecure about giving a treatment, receiving a treatment. In the classroom that we have there, I'm going to give a treatment to one of the participants, and you can watch and be there as I do that. And it was remarkable because they all came, and I treated somebody. Excuse me. I treated somebody in front of the group, and everyone said afterwards, we just received the treatment ourselves." So I leave it open now. I leave it open. If you want to lay your hands on each other, I'm all for it. But if you want to go just for self exploration and self cleaning, I'm all for that too. And then you can watch me as I treat somebody in the common room. Um, as I said, the thing about Patmos is it has no airport, thank God, and it's not the easiest island to reach, which is also means it's very protected from mass tourism. So you have to fly either to Athens and then take a night's ferry, which is the cheapest way to do it, or you can fly to Kos or to Samos. Most of the flights go to Kos. Some go to Samos, and I'm talking about from Germany and from Scandinavia. Uh, or you can even fly to Rhodos. Then it's a longer ferry trip. And you catch a ferry, hopefully on the same day, and that brings you to Skala, which is the primary city on Patmos. And from there, you're a short ride away from the hotel. I can help you with the flights. There, I'm a professional. I have a whole PDF file about how to reach Patmos. And I can also arrange transfers to the hotel. I'll even meet you down at the harbor. And that normally we do that trip in September, and now we're going to do it in late May, which I prefer because first of all, it has the same advantages as late September, in as much as it's not so hot and it's not so crowded. Okay, the island is flooded with tourism in July and August. I'm never there then. I never plan to be there then. But the nice thing about the end of May is the island's still filled with spring flowers all over the island, and also the days are longer. Okay, the days are longer, which means we can even walk to town and enjoy a meal together, not in the darkness, and so it's nice. So those are the three trips that I'm offering this in the next few months. They all mean a lot to me. They're all very distinct trips. You can't compare Göbekli Tepe with Cyprus and the Symbol of Life, and you can't compare Patmos with. They're very, very unique trips, and they're extremely exclusive. You can definitely get there cheaper by yourself, but you won't experience what we experienced together. And if you don't have the money and don't have the time, I understand it fully. So next autumn, we start another series of trips, including Egypt. We did a trip last November through Egypt, which was really amazing. Even though I've been to Egypt a number of times, I never experienced Egypt as I did last November. Yeah. So that's what I just wanted to share with you folks. And if anybody has a question, either you can share your question now and I'll try to answer it, or you can write me over my website and express your interest for one trip or the other, either this year or in autumn or next year. And we'll get back to you as soon as possible. The website is www.theosis.com. Theosis is a Greek word which means uh, uh, reaching a state of divinity, a union with the source. And there you'll find all of the seminars that we offer in the two languages, German and English, and also the trips that we offer. And if you want to learn more about Göbekli Tepe, which I really suggest that you do, if anybody's interested in spirituality, uh, if anybody's interested in spirituality and they haven't been to Göbekli Tepe, then you really have to think about that, because this is probably one of the most important places for anybody at home in spirituality to visit. How often can you visit a temple complex? Hi, Paul. We're just finishing up actually, but it's okay. Good morning. If you like I said, even if you're interested in Daskalus's work, and which I understand fully, I mean, I'm the biggest Daskalus fan there is, but you're interested in spirituality in general, then try to make a trip to Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe and the 11 other, and here you can see a website that I developed, which is called taztepleretravels.com or Horizon. And there you'll see a lot of information about this temple complex. So Paul, I talked about 3 different trips, including the trip to your home island, your mother island. And what I said was I have now 10 people on the list, but they're all German-speaking people. And I said to the people who are taking part in this talk, and there are not that many, that if a number of people want to take part and don't speak German but speak English, then I've done that before. I've taught in both languages, and I would be glad to teach in both languages. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Were you born on the island of Cyprus?
No, my parents. My
Okay.
parents and my older brother.
Whereabouts?
They immigrated to Canada in 68.
Oh, but before
And we've been
the
back
Turkish.
several times.
Okay. Where's your family from on the island?
In the villages up in Kalapaniotis,
Oh, nice.
south of Troodos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trodos is so nice.
the
Yeah.
mountain region.
Yeah.
So sorry I missed the earlier part. I thought this was timed right for 4:30 Central European time, but
Yeah,
maybe I was
4 o'clock. It
wrong.
doesn't matter. I recorded it, and I'll put it
Oh,
up on YouTube, and you'll get a link to it. You know,
okay,
I just talked
okay.
briefly about the symbol of life, and I talked briefly about the book that Daskalus wrote about it. You can see this is a bit dog-eared in the 27 years that I've had it, and that I helped him write this. This was one of the last books we wrote together. And are you familiar with the teachings of the symbol of life?
Very superficially, very
Yeah,
superficially.
yeah,
I'm inspired by his teachings, his presence, his energy.
yeah.
I've
Rightly
cruised
so.
websites, several different websites talking about him, but I
Yeah.
kind of landed on yours most predominantly. Watched several of your videos and
Thank you.
really intrigued about this particular meditation retreat in Cyprus, and so it's
Yeah, I
intriguing.
understand. I'll share with you something, Paul, or with the other folks. I've been busy writing a book about my time before and with and after Daskalos. And it is one of the most remarkable things I've ever done before, because I'm going through a process of historical revisionism, in as much as when I was there, I was young. I was 28 when I got there. And, I was still coming out of my childhood. And a lot of us, when we have a rather dramatic childhood, we build up rather quickly a survival mechanism to bring us into life. And we actually view the world and others through this survival mechanism. And I wasn't free of that as I came to Daskalos, you know. And so I I was without a doubt his closest student and practically his only student at the time for 6 years. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not trying to brag, it's just a fact. And now going back to it, I'm back on the island with him in his living room, you know, in the Stoa. And I mean, I'm really back. It's one of the most remarkable things I've gone through, actually, because I'm almost experiencing Daskal better now as I could back then. And that makes it so nice, actually, about this trip to Cyprus, and that'll be my homecoming, because I
Yeah,
haven't been there in 27 years, is
yeah.
that I am fully back in that time, you know. And I also said to the people watching that we'll take a bus trip to Strovolos and visit his home from outside. Unfortunately, it's not being taken care of, which is kind of
Mm,
tragic,
mm.
but it's still standing. And we'll visit also the Stoa as much as possible, where he taught, and we'll visit his grave. Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful. So are you set to do this seminar both in English and German, or are
Well,
you
right now it's
still
planned only,
contemplating?
you know, most of my students are German speaking, yeah, either from Austria or Switzerland or from here in Germany.
Okay,
But I can definitely do it. I can definitely do it in both languages.
okay,
Just the meditations I lead are spontaneous.
okay.
And I can probably do that in both languages, but even when I give a meditation, I actually experience a meditation.
Right, right.
But I do have
Okay,
somebody who would go along, who would translate it into German for me. But I don't want the German speak, and it's actually listed on my website as in two languages. It's listed
right.
in the German website as being, it could be that it's going to be offered in English. And I know there's somebody else on Cyprus who lives on Cyprus who wants to take part. And he might take part with his wife, and that would be three. And then it's looking good. Yeah.
Okay,
Do you
okay.
have to take
So shall I
holidays?
wait? Should I wait a little bit longer before
Booking your
confirming with
flights?
you?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Do you have to take holidays, or do you have
I
to?
do. I do have to plan my holidays. I still have time to do that. We're just at the tail end of February, and so that would be May 4th to the 11th. And I
Yeah,
would extend for another week in Cyprus because I do have family there.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I would enjoy that as well. But certainly, yes, the sooner we can confirm, the
Okay,
sooner I can
that's
start
why I'm
making
doing
plans.
actually this video is to promote it, you know. And so I'll put this out on YouTube, and I have quite a following on YouTube, and we'll
Yeah.
see if that sparks interest.
Okay.
Mila Silenica.
Leo, just a little bit.
Yeah, I should have learned it at the time, but you know, it was an English colony, and everybody spoke perfect English.
Yes,
I actually
yes. I,
went to
I
I
have
actually
not
went
been
I went to
I've not been
school.
studious to learn Greek.
Yeah, no, I went to night school to learn Greek, and I just realized this is useless because everybody can speak English to me anyway.
Yeah,
But I
I've
understand a
attempted
lot of
it a
it.
few times unsuccessfully, but
Yeah,
my,
yeah,
my parents speak to me in Greek for most of my childhood, but mostly they were learning English as well. So
yeah,
they're
exactly.
learning English,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
at school,
yeah,
so it just made sense to
yeah.
stick to English.
Okay, so we'll stay in touch, Paul, and I'll get this out there, and we'll see if it sparks any interest. And I know that you want to take part. I'm aware of it, and I would love to meet you there on your island. I guess I spent more time on your island than you did, but so I can show you
Perhaps.
around. Yeah. I used to love going up to Trotos because they had a restaurant there which had its own trout farm, you know. So I'd go up there with Dasklos and we would enjoy a nice trout meal up there in the
Oh,
mountains.
wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful. I'd
it's one
like
of the
to hear
main
more stories about
one of the
Dasklos.
one of the most amazing things about Cyprus is you can actually go skiing in the morning and sunbathing in the
Yeah,
afternoon. Yeah,
that's
it's
correct.
famous for that. Yeah.
That's great.
Okay,
Wonderful.
good. It's good seeing you, and we'll stay in touch. And then have a nice Sunday. And you're in Canada,
Perfect. You as
right?
well. You as well.
Okay.
Take
Okay. Take
take
care,
care.
everybody. Bye bye now.